very key in everything that we do. Okay, so the purpose why we are taking this uh, everything real estate series is to allow and every one of us to be equipped, right, as a real estate consultant. If there are things that really is involved in real estate, and as a real estate consultant, someone that does real estate for a living, and you do not know it, it's there's no way failure will not one way or the other um, be inevitable. Do you get my point? Okay, so real estate is very, very, very key. So we are touching on everything that has to do with real estate. So from definition to, like I said, it's going to be a long series. It's going to be a long series. So I want us to, so I will advise nobody should miss any of this series. Some of the things we are going to be sharing, some of you probably know it already. Okay, some of you don't know it at all. Okay, some of you may assume that you know it, but you really don't know it. So, but let's just start this journey together and see how far we can go. Okay, so I'll be the anchor all through the journey. So, number one thing that we're going to be looking at is what is real estate? What is real estate? I mean, the business that you are into, we need to define it. The definition of a thing will help us to guide, is more or less determining the circumference of it. You know the circumference of it. You know, you meet a doctor. A doctor might be a dentistry, but he has the basis for everything. Because take for instance now, you can have toothache and at the same time have headache. Okay, so the doctor too must know a little bit of neuroscience. It must be have basis in neurology, even though he's a tooth doctor. Do you get my point? For instance, now a lot of people don't know that our skin is connected to our kidney, right? So that's why you see most of the time when people bleach their skin, right? They at the end of the day ended up having kidney failure. So if a dermatologist decide not to know anything about kidney failure, that person cannot perform at premium, at peak performance. He can't have a peak performance, right? So somebody, an oncologist for instance, that talks about, oncologist is the doctor that specializes in cancer, okay, must understand things that has to do with dietary, nutritionist. So that's the way consultant work. So also when it comes to real estate, okay, when it comes to real estate, you have to have you need to understand the depth and the width of everything that has to do with real estate. And these are the reasons why what we are starting today is very, very important. So when you are having a conversation with a prospective buyer, you are having the conversation from the place of strength. This has happened several times before, even when our depth and knowledge is not at this level. Okay, a lot of people will, realtors will be talking to prospects, and prospects are having it very difficult to buy from them. But by the time they see a superior knowledge, not from the place of positioning, but from the place of superior knowledge, they end up taking a buying decision. Okay, very, very important. And I want to advise everybody, right, here, that the first 3 chapters of the book, of our book, Beyond Land and Housing, please go and read it, so that you will not be a signboard telling people the way to go and never getting there. Very important. So let's move deeply into what we have for today. So what is real estate? That's where we are starting from today. And we are looking at a series of definitions. And anywhere we stop today, we stop. So real estate refers to land and anything permanently attached to it. Refers to what? Land and everything permanently attached to it, whether natural or man-made. Example of such can be a building, fence, road, tree, etc. It does not have an end point. Okay? That's the fundamental definition of real estate. You know, I remembered many years ago when my knowledge about real estate is not even at this level. Somebody said that there was a conversation that was going on, and the person, I don't know whether some of us have had this before, right? The person said, I do not have a real estate space in my head to accommodate those type of discussion. I was wondering, real estate space. Oh, sorry, I don't, no, he didn't use space. So he said, I do not have the real estate in my head to accommodate such. So in that statement, you know, so sometimes real estate can be connoted, okay, used in the place of space. Note that, okay. So because you know, I needed to touch on that so that in the course of some of my explanation, you'll be able to understand the reason why that is very, very important. Another way to really look at real estate is that real estate is both a tangible asset and an economic system that involves ownership, use, and transfer of land value and creation of wealth. Let me repeat. It is both a tangible asset, also an economic system. And I'm going to break this down. So it's a long journey that involves ownership, right? Use. Ownership means that somebody uses it. Then somebody owns the asset. Use means that somebody is residing in that asset or using it for a particular reason. Then transfer. That means you can transfer the ownership from one person to the other. Right? Very, very important. So what that automatically means is that when it comes to real estate, if you cannot identify ownership, identify the use, then identify and be able to state clearly how it can be transferred from A to B, is not a tangible asset. Then in terms of economic system, there was a time I did a video on China. No, at some point, in fact, as I'm talking to you right now, in the last 60 days, a report came out of China as of today now. Today being 6th day of November 2025. Within the last 30 to 60 days, a report came out from China that states that China is now at 90% home ownership. They've achieved 90% of home ownership. Let me explain what that means. That is to say 90% of everybody that has in China has a home that is in China, has an accommodation. So home ownership problem in China is just 10%. That's massive. Even almighty United States of America does not have that. Home ownership penetration in United States, I mean, I stand to be corrected, I don't think it's up to 70%. I don't think Europe too probably will be around that same statistics. Okay? And one of the things China did was that at some point, they made sure that they took advantage of the value chain. Okay? They took advantage of the value chain that is attached to real estate. And I'm going to break it down. If you are building a house, number one, you are buying land. Right? That is to say, the land vendor has been involved in the economic chain, value chain of real estate. That's the land vendor has been involved. Number two is that you are engaging an architect to give for your dream home, to transfer your dream home into a what? Into a realization, right? Has been engaged. Number three is that a structural engineer, somebody that has gone to school, has designed the structural for the building, has designed also the M&E, the mechanical engineer has designed the M&E of that same structure. And an electrical engineer too has designed the electrical fittings of that structure. Right? Then you've carried that same structure to government to seek approval. Look at the value chain. Because you want to build a house, all these people have been engaged. Right? Now to the building itself, you need sound vendor, people in dredging business. Because you are building a house, dredging is getting business. Cement, because you are building a house, cement is getting business. Limestone is being mined. factories are being built. Look at the ripple effect of just building a house. Because of that, you need water. You need iron rod, right? Steel merchandise are in business because of you. Electrical cabling merchandise are in business. Tire manufacturers and vendors and distributors are in business. Look at the value chain. So what China did was that they controlled the end-to-end of it. They manufactured everything. See, as I'm talking to you right now, you can go to China, go with your design. They will develop a 3D model for you, and everything you need to build your house from the beginning to the end, you can bring it in from China. It's like a one-stop location. You enter a location and get everything you need, detailed. In fact, if the people doing the work, the people that were executing work in Nigeria tell you something is missing, that means they stole it to the nearest details. That's they control the ecosystem of construction, and because of that, they stimulated the economy. There's nothing you need now. You need the best of tiles. You get it from China. You need everything. They were able to what? To control it. Look at how they use real estate. And when the boom started, right, the economy of China was growing at minimum of 7% per annum. So they were building and building and building and building and building. Every state, province in the whole of China was just building massively. Massively. The hand-to-hand of. And you see, unfortunately, when we want to copy things in this part of the world, nobody goes to China to copy that. To come and implement in Nigeria. Okay? So let's not go into China details too much. Let's just come back home. I just needed to give you that so that we can understand that the potential of real estate. At that point in time, real estate became the number one contributor to the, and until today, still the number one contributor to the economy of China. Real estate has not been the number one contributor to the GDP of Nigeria. Never, it has not. And it's with the housing deficit we have in Nigeria, to become a $1 trillion economy in Nigeria should be the easiest thing. Just policy in place. And the funniest thing is that everything we need to build a house, every of the raw materials are in this country. Look at what cement alone did. You know, at some point in time, we're not manufacturing cement. Now, Nigeria is the net exporter of cement. In fact, we are one of the highest, after China, I think Nigeria should be the largest producer of cement in the whole world now. Is it from Dangote to Boas and all of those things? So we become a hub for cement. So the same way we can be hub for tiles, the same way we can be hub for wiring, the same way we can be hub. That is the value chain of real estate. And you see, you might be wondering as a consultant, why is this important? It is very, very important. You know why this is very, very important? One day you will not be among and wise and intelligent people will be discussing. And you just keep quiet. They will think you are wise. They will just it's not a sign of wisdom. It's the sign that you don't have anything to contribute. Very important. Accumulating this type of knowledge is very, very important. Okay. Then number three, let's just look at what is real estate. In Nigeria, real estate is primarily governed by the Land Use Act of 1978. You see, if you are on this call, you must understand what are the basis of that Land Use Act. And that Land Use Act vested the power to administer land to the governor of each state. So you must understand this. I remember one of a realtor was having a conversation about, there's a lot of demolition going on in Lagos. And when the person was talking, I said, you have a long way to go. If you understand, in fact, according to the land user, the governor is regarded as Lord. The governor is regarded as the Lord of that land. So much power. And Overriding public interest. You see that statement alone can collect any property from anybody. Overriding public interest. That statement alone. That's to tell you how powerful that law is, and you must acclimatize yourself with that law. So that when there are public discussion, you see, some of the things you are doing, somebody can invite you, for instance, now, and say, come and have a sit on a panel, on a TV program, and you are blabbing. And they are referring to you, one of the top real estate consultants in Nigeria. And you get there and you know, you actually, because all the things you know is how we have promo. No. There's a place of depth and width of knowledge. I hope we are making sense at all. I need feedback from us. Okay? Then, there's no real estate without land. I mean, we can all agree that now. There's no real estate without what? Without land. There's no real estate without land. So what is land? What is land? So land is the earth's surface. Earth's surface. You know, now we have houses that, there are cities that are built under the ground now. I saw a documentary of a particular property that was built in an old mine shaft. So they used to mine, so you know, when you are mining, you are digging a lot of ground. So after they finished mining the place, they just left the place. So the land became a major pit. So what they did was that because of the coal, they now, I think it was in China, Shanghai or something like that. So they built the first underground hotel. So real estate is not just the surface of earth again. Under land is not just the surface. Under the soil too is part of the land. Okay? So both the surface and beneath is land. And let me even give us practical example. Land is so valuable that we sanfill the ocean, part of the ocean, and we reclaim it as land because it took its root from the base of the ocean. Okay, so land includes the earth's surface, the subsoil, and everything that is attached to it. Okay, so it represents immovable property. You know, many years ago, before I even started real estate, there's this documentary that used to trend then. I think in America, most of the houses in America are built on wooden frames. So you can move those moving frames from the foundation. I don't know whether some of us have seen those documentaries before. You move it. It's more or less like a fabricated house. You move it to another location. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, so things like that. And legally, land ownership confer the right of possession, occupation, and use, and also transfer to the landowners. So when it comes to land ownership does not give you, when using the word ownership, is not just an interest. It's an interest that you can transfer. It's an interest that you can use. Are we together? Yes. Okay, very, very important. So, one thing that I want to let us understand, which I'm still going to touch in this series, that land is the foundation of wealth. Can you repeat that? Land is the foundation of wealth. There is no wealth. I'm not talking about riches. So there is nothing like wealth that does not take its foundation from land. And I mean, I'm open to a debate. From anything that is wealth, land is the foundation of all wealth. Land is the foundation of all wealth. And the reason why, I often share this, in this part of the world, land is not just ordinary. It's the symbol of that you have arrived. Okay, for those of us, when we started making money, What did our parents tell us to do? Go and buy one land, though, even if it's half plot. Go and buy yes, even AI. The warehouse, the data centers, are they not built on land? They'll tell you go and buy one land, though, and be doing this small. It's the foundation of all wealth. Okay? It's the foundation of all wealth. So, a land can also be owned in perpetuity, which is freehold, depending on the law of the land, and it can be owned based on leasehold, so depending on the structure of the law of the land. What do I mean by freehold? In Nigeria, we don't have a freehold system that can be traced. We have a freehold system even you have not registered your title. Let me give you an example, for instance. You know, there are some land, when you are buying land from primary market, the people selling it to you, they own it freehold. They are the family. But the reason why land at the primary market is usually cheaper is because the title is difficult to trace in land registry. But as soon as the title is now traceable, it has become a leasehold. I don't know whether you get my point. One Olori Ebi and the principal members of the family in one village in Obafemi, they know they own the land, they know the boundary of their land. Their great-great-great-grandfather has been farming on that land for hundreds of years, if not even thousands of years. But they can't take that land to bank. Say, bank, come and fund us. The bank will say, where's the evidence? The evidence of ownership is because you are telling a story. It's verbal evidence. Transferring the story from story to another story means this is that our great-grandfather told us, our great-great-grandfather told us. No. That story is not bankable. Right? But as soon as that is now converted to a title, you do a C of O on it. There's an expiring date on the C of O. So depending on the law of the land, so that's why anytime anybody is going into real estate, you must understand the law of that land. Look at one of the offers we gave during the Mega Housing Summit. We were talking about U.S. fractional ownership. Right? When we come together, people who own property in the U.S. Right? So the law, even in the book, Beyond Land and Housing, we break it down. Real estate in America, there's a section. By the time you get the full book, there's a section that talks about real estate in Nigeria. There's a section that talks about real estate in America. Okay, similar but different. For instance, in the US now, you hold the property in perpetuity, but you pay tax. But here, you don't own the property in perpetuity because of the Land Use Act is stipulated over a period of time, usually 99 years. Okay, so we look at land. Let's now look at what is plot, what is parcel of land, what is acre, what is hectare. Are we together? Okay, so let's look at all these definitions. Are very, very important, so that nobody will bamboozle you, nobody will confuse you, right? You will be well empowered and equipped, right, to take an informed decision, right? So I know my time is fast spent, but I just want to take it as slowly as possible. So number one, what is plot of land? Plot of land is a measurable piece of land designated for development. A measurable piece of land, right? So it can be 500 square meter, it can be 450 square meter, it can be 600 square meter, it can be 700 square meter, it can be 1,000 square meter. In as much as it's measurable and is designated for development. So when it comes to plot of land, that's why we usually say that plot of land is not 60 by 120. It's one of the examples. 60 by 120 is just one of the examples of plot of land. I hope we are together. I hope somebody is getting empowered at all, right? You need to have this understanding, okay? And I need your attention to be here. That's plot of land. Then, what is an acre of land? And see, before we even go to a plot of land, especially for anybody that is buying plot, define, ask question, what's the size of your plot? I remember when we transited from Lagos and from Lagos to, we began to open branch and have project outside Lagos. When we wanted to buy, I think, was it Abuja or Port Harcourt then? And we had to, okay, how much is a plot and all of those things. We had to clarify. So what's the size of the plot of land in this very particular place? I said, okay, yeah, plot is 50 by 100, which is what? 450 square meter. Okay, and we sell per plot. You know, all those details are very, very, very important. So what is an acre? An acre of land is approximately a measured space that is approximately 4,046 square meter. Note the word, a measured space that is approximately 4,046 square meter. It's approximately. Okay? That's an acre. Acre is different from hectare. Acres is different from hectare. Acres is A-C-R-E. Hectare is H-E-C-T-A-R-E. Okay? Very good. Then what is an hectare? What is an hectare? An hectare of land is a measured space that is approximately 10,000 square meters. And you know, one of the things that I want to quickly make us to understand, especially for those of us that are consultants, when they tell you something is 600 square meter, land is not perfect rectangle, neither is it a perfect parallelogram, neither is it a perfect triangle. So it's not usually about the dimension, it's about the square meter. Yes, that's why you need to have when it comes to construction, you need to have a very creative architect to manage whatever space that is measured. Let me give you an example now. We did a project about 5 years ago now. We delivered it about 5 years ago. Orange apartment in Ogba. The size of the land is like a triangle. Okay, it's like a V, but a flat V, not But the best way, if you look at the survey, the best way is you see a triangular shape. So it's not. So at that point in time, imagine somebody now asking me, if I tell and the size of the land was 2,000 square meter. Somebody now asking me, I don't understand 2,000 square meter. The only thing I understand is 60 by 100 or 50. How will I be able to explain that one? Or maybe a size of land that has 5 sides, not 4 sides. Will I tell you is 10 by 12 by 50 by